subject of this month's profile is Mantua Elementary. From the outside, it doesn't appear to be much different from any other Fairfax County Public School. Once inside, however, its uniqueness becomes apparent. The school opens its doors to children of all backgrounds and abilities and embraces them with the nurturance and attention that each of them needs. Along with an educational program for hearing impaired children, Mantua houses a program for the learning disabled, a program for developmentally delayed preschoolers, an ESL program, as well as a school-based gifted and talented program. These many specialized offerings, along with the general education program, blend together to give students a wonderfully unique elementary experience, academically as well as socially.
We really treat the school as one. We work together to make sure of that. All of our children are integrated together. One of the nice components of having the Total Communication Center here, for example, is that many of our hearing children have learned sign language. And it's just been a wonderful, wonderful addition to the school.
The school environment here is really supportive of the development of wonderful friendship building. Many times the children learn sign language really with a lot of skill.
I see children learning to be very tolerant of each other. I see children learning to accept differences in one another and to be very helpful with one another.
These kindergartners were singing this song as part of their recognition of the completion of the first 100 days of school. The milestone was celebrated school-wide as teachers at all grade levels used their creativity to develop educational activities based on the number 100.
We start 100th day, the first day of school, by starting to count 1 on the very first day. And we continue until 100 days, and the kids really start getting into it. At first they start thinking that at 100 days kindergarten is over. But of course it's not. And so we make a big celebration out of 100th day with activities and things to do. And everything basically is hands-on for them so that they can touch it and feel it and see it and really learn to count to 100.
As we take you through Mantua's many classes, we'll give you a sampling of how the number 100 was transformed into interesting and sometimes entertaining classroom lessons. Within Mantua Elementary is Mantua Center. The center operates Fairfax County's only total communication program, the mission of which is to meet the educational needs of hearing impaired children. As soon as a child's hearing loss is identified, he or she can begin receiving services from Mantua Center. The program currently serves 46 children, ranging in age from a few months to 12 years old. The emphasis is placed on the development of language, communication, and social skills.
Some of the children are mainstreamed, and some of the students that we have are self-contained, and it depends on the individual needs and abilities of the students that we have here. If possible, we try to mainstream as much as we can, but some students need to have more time in a self-contained classroom, and we do it that way.
So you two have to agree which bag has 100.
In this self-contained total communication class, students apply their estimation abilities as they guess which bag contains 100 items.
Our curriculum basically follows the Fairfax County school system's curriculum. We just have to adjust the language and for the students because their language is usually delayed. And so we adjust the language, and we might break it down a little bit more, or we might need to spend a little bit more time on things. So basically it's the same curriculum, but it's also intertwined with their individual education plans, their IEPs.
Now be careful when you pour it out. I don't know, it might fall down.
You use sign language to communicate, but that's not all. We also use speech, communication boards we use. That's what Total Communications, the title of our program, is. You use anything to get the message across. If you have to write down everything for a student, then you write down everything, and you just kind of do back and forth of you write the answer, he write the answer. Or you might have a communication board where they press their answer, or they might sign it to you, or they might act it out or draw it. You use anything to get the message across and to get the message back. Champlain is the 5th and 6th grade teacher, labeled 5th or 6th, and he is one of the 7 teachers that is here, and he himself is deaf. And so I like to have my kids have a deaf role model, because neither myself or my assistant are deaf, and so I really like to make sure the kids have a deaf role model, and both with the language and with seeing that there are deaf adults and that are successful. So we paired up to do this class together. And he also has kids that are closer to my kids' age.
Anything. Let's just brainstorm some ideas here. What are some things that you can do? Okay. You can ride a bike. Good.
Here, Miss Everhart's Total Communication class taps into their creativity as they contribute to a list of activities that they can do 100 times.
I want 2 more ideas. 2 more. Stephen. You can pet a dolphin, Ken?
The objective of the lesson was to write a good sentence. We've been focusing on writing good English sentences. My students are deaf, and ASL is their native language. English is not, so English is very difficult for deaf children, in particular when it pertains to writing. They're missing a whole modality. They're missing the auditory modality in which to rely on to help them sound out words, to know the English word order, because ASL has a complete separate syntactical, grammatical order than English does. So it's a difficult task for them and for me.
What else? What else do you need for a good sentence? Ayez? A capital letter right at the beginning of the sentence. Good, you remembered. Good.
When I said writing, they thought it meant draw a picture. And then when I said, okay, tell me a story, write me a story about what you just drew. And they froze. They just froze. Letters? Words? What? I'm like, you can do it. They're like, can't. And then they're signing this, which is ASL for I can't do it. I said, yes, you can. Come on, let's try.
Okay, let me write it.
I'll try to.
I went from a class who said, I can't do this, to, wait a minute, Ms. Everhart, can I do one more before lunchtime? I'm like, no, we got to line up. Just one more. And that's really exciting to see. I mean, these were kids who said, I can't write.
Right. Capital at the beginning of the sentence, and then the rest of the letters are small. Right.
It's a very active, a very communicative class. It's probably one of the most exciting classes I've ever had here at Mantua, because every single student in my class has come to me with a good, strong language base.
Sometimes we can learn things about math and about writing. We get finished, and then we'll move on to 2nd grade. Sometimes. I want to go to Gallaudet. Go to college.
After acquiring the necessary language and communication skills, students are encouraged to move into the mainstreamed environment, where, with the assistance of a language interpreter, they will learn side by side with hearing students.
And what you're going to do is you are going to sequence the numbers from 1 to 100, or if you want, you may go up to 125. Today, we're doing some math to celebrate the number 100.
If a child is in a mainstream classroom, they are still included as a center-based student because we work together as a team, and the center teacher many times supports and helps the teacher in the mainstream classroom.
Specialists and other support staff are an integral ingredient to the success of the Total Communication Program. Instructional assistants, audiologists, speech therapists, social workers, psychologists, and interpreters are all part of the team.
It's frightening the very first time you get a child who's deaf, and then you work with it for a couple of weeks and you calm down a little bit and you find out they learn like everybody else learns and everything will be okay. And being here for 4 years, and this is my 3rd year to have someone who's deaf in the class, I'm very comfortable with it, and I have done some research on how to teach reading to children who are deaf and what changes I should make, and I'm very comfortable.
You've got the idea. Very good. Who would like to do the next 2 numbers?
Certain activities are a little different for children who are deaf. For example, they wouldn't learn the cueing system of phonics when they're learning how to read. So I have to change a very few things. But in general, the children who are deaf fit right in and learn just like everyone else learns.
Here, 2 third-grade classes have joined together in cooperative groups to practice prediction, estimation, and graphing.
In my class, I have 24 students. I have 2 deaf students, and I also have an interpreter. My 2 deaf children fit in beautifully. I mean, a lot of the children that are in the class with them have been with them for years. So it's not something that stands out. They're just, another child in my class.
Well, I like to talk to the deaf kids, Christina, S, and Jennifer, and to play with them so like they're any ordinary person. Well, I wanted to learn sign language because I wanted to learn another language, and I can maybe sign to deaf people if I meet any of them.
This class is also unique in that students with learning disabilities are working side by side with their general education peers.
One thing interesting about my class is that I have the learning disabled students that are included in my classroom, and for 3 days a week, 4 days a week, the LD teacher actually comes into my classroom and co-teaches with me to facilitate those students, and actually she helps all the students.
What we are doing is we are working with children who have been identified as learning disabled. What we do is we help children learn how to cope with their learning disability.
This arrangement benefits the students as well as the teacher.
For most of the time, there are 2 teachers in the room, so each student gets individual attention, more individualized attention. She also teaches me strategies on how to accommodate the learning disabilities that these students have, so that when she's not in the room, these students can still keep up with what we're doing.
How many things are each of you going to have to remember that we've done since the first day of school, Scott?
5.
Why?
Because 100 divided by 20 people in the class is 5 subjects.
5 things, that's right. 100 days.
This is Mantua's school-based GT program, put in place to accommodate the academically gifted and talented.
Questions, Danny?
They are superior learners. They test out top 3 or 4% on standardized testing in intellectual ability, school ability. And after they're identified in that way, they're placed in this program.
As is the case with all other specialized programs at Mantua, the GT program is not a separate entity, but is instead an integrated part of the regular school operations.
Our classrooms are integrated throughout the school. My class is located with the other 5th grade classes. We team with each other by grade level. We participate in activities that all children participate in. My students are eligible for safety patrol, SCA office, any activity that goes on in the school. my students, as well as the Bay School students, are eligible to participate. So we try to integrate all of our programs into all school activities.
This integration allows each segment of the Mantua population to share its special gifts with the rest of the student body.
My name is Donald. I'm in 6th grade, and I speak French, Ani, and English. And I'm gonna show you how to simplify a fraction in French, and I'm gonna show you how to divide fractions in Ani.
The mainstreaming of ESL students brings opportunities for sharing different languages, cultures, and perspectives of the world. In his 6th grade class, Mr. Kingsbury maximizes this gift by allowing students to share their native languages, while at the same time reinforcing the math concepts they've learned.
4, 3, 2 chia cho 4 bằng 1 bằng 2. 3 chia cho 13 không được, mình lấy.
Oh, it's great. The more variety, the better. Like Heinz Ketchup, 57 varieties. Well, we have maybe 10 varieties in the room since we have 10 different languages that are spoken. And so many students can come to us with different backgrounds as opposed to when I grew up, you know, everyone in my class had the same background. We all grew up in the Fairfax County together. But now you have students coming from different countries, and it just enhances everyone's opportunity to learn about the different cultures. And as counties become more global, it's just going to help them out better when they're in junior high school and high school. And then when they get out into the working world, they're going to be adept and acclimated to what's going to happen to them.
Mr. Kingsbury teaches this group math and science, while Mrs. Handpeter provides language arts instruction for ESL students.
And I was thinking of all the different ways that we use 100. Can you think of some way that you use the number 100 in your life? In general, my goals for them, of course, are to improve their language proficiency so that they're able to take part in the regular classroom activities on a full-time basis. And until they do that, I offer language support. Well, the class you'll see today is a group of 5th and 6th graders. There's 11 students. They come from 7 different countries, and they speak 4 different languages. It's really kind of a microcosm of ESL in the county in general, because our biggest population groups are children from Korea, children from Vietnam, and children who speak Spanish. Do you know what you call 100 years?
Yeah.
What?
Century something.
Yes, say it again.
Century.
A century, right. What we're going to do today is we're going to go back 1 century in America, and we're going to see what life was like in 1895. So today what we're doing is kind of sharing in the 100-day celebration that the school is getting ready to have. And we're doing a timeline of history. We're going back 100 years and seeing what life in America was like 100 years ago. So in that way, they'll be able to tie in the 100th day with something meaningful, and they'll still get some library skills.
We'll take a quick look at the CD-ROM and maybe type up baseball and see if we can get some history from that. Then I'm going to show you the almanac, and I'll show you how to use the almanac, because that's a good place to go for statistics, population.
Ms. Dusa, the school librarian, is frequently called upon by many teachers to support classroom lessons. She collaborates with faculty members to maximize the potential of available resources.
I will be showing them the online catalog and the CD-ROM. We have the 1994 Information Finder, which is the World Book Encyclopedia. And I will talk a little bit about the use of the encyclopedia. If the CD-ROM is in use by another student, they can still use the book. And we'll talk a little bit about almanacs. They'll need some statistics on population. Normally, where do you find an index in a book? We do have flexible scheduling, and so Mrs. Handpeter, before she started working on the unit, came to me. We found an agreeable time when I could meet with the children, and we sat down together and we worked out what we'll be doing with the children before they actually come to the library. So we're both prepared.
Daniel and Chang, would you work together in that?
What do you think she'd like to eat today?
I don't know.
Well, why don't you look through the food and see if you can find something that's good for her.
This is Mantua's preschool program. It serves children ages 2 to 5 who demonstrate 2 or more delays in developmental areas. Teaming between teachers is employed here as well, providing children more opportunity for small group activities.
At Mantua, the preschool staff is teaming. This is the second year that we've employed a teaming approach to our curriculum where the morning staff and the afternoon staff all work together. Lots of the assistants and classroom teachers each take turns in other parts of the day during the morning and the afternoon. And one of the main ingredients of our program is the center-based concept to instruction and play, where each of the children participates in a small group activity on a daily basis that would be in lots of the developmental learning areas. Yesterday, when you visited our class, we had the afternoon group of children participating in the center time, which consists of generally a planning time, a play time, and a review time. And you observed some of the activities during the center time, which consisted of an activity of children stringing groups of 10 different objects, and an activity in a story area, some play in the housekeeping area, and computer also. We like to have computer as much as we can.
The teaming approach is another element of Mantua that links many programs together as one integrated unit.
Should we start with this, the sand? Yeah. Can I draw sand? Great.
Primary teachers Morrison and Bellis demonstrate how they work together to plan lessons for students in a multi-age setting.
A multi-age classroom is younger and older children put together. We have 6, 7, and 8-year-olds. They were purposely put together. Youngers learn from olders. Olders are great models for the youngers. They learn from each other. It's more of a family environment instead of a straight grade classroom.
Okay, should I draw the seaweed or something?
The assignment, which tied in with their ocean life unit, was to create a sea creature using 100 objects. The project was designed to enhance organizational skills and sharpen cooperative and leadership abilities.
Think that's good? All right, why don't you erase and not do the other ocean thing?
I mean, we want them to be able to cooperate, so they're working together to cooperate, just to reinforce their number skills, to reinforce their knowledge of ocean life.
And organizational skills. They've had to plan this. They had a sheet where they had to plan the materials they would need and then lay out their plan for the project. Some of them are doing things like 100 tentacles on a jellyfish, and so they had to decide what materials they'd need for that.
Well, my name is Mark Love, and hers is Ryan Braska. And this is a jellyfish with 100 tentacles on it. And well, first we cut out 100 tentacles, 100 purple ones, and I think 25 of these and 25 of these. And then we just use this tape to tape them on. And we cut out a big white piece of paper.
These students are rehearsing for a production called Assignment Earth. As part of a 6th grade electives program called Freaky Friday, the dancers get together 3 hours each month to prepare for a June performance.
This year, the electives have been performing arts, which we have the children sing and dance and do a show. And there has been a graphic design segment, which had the children doing claymation and working at Chapel Square to work on finished products. There was a mentor program where certain children have signed up to work with a counselor and mentor younger children.
The project is yet another activity where the students and staff have the opportunity to work together.
The one thing that's really neat about this semester is that the kids are all working together to put this show into production by June, and the show is about recycling and saving the earth. And one of the nicest parts about it is that the songs also talk about working together and saving the earth and doing what we can
to not destroy what we have left. And that's kind of the basic theme throughout the whole entire show.
Additional assistance is being contributed by a parent choreographer.
It's really fun because they come from a background of children who've never moved and children who love to dance, but they all want to move. And so by breaking it down and going over and over it and making it fun and letting them choreograph some of the steps, which means that then the movement's in their repertoire, then it all comes together so that they can work as a unit.
Mantua Elementary works together indeed. A caring and committed staff strives to accommodate the special needs of a highly diverse student population, while at the same time providing an atmosphere which encourages the growth of friendships among all types of children. Through their recognition and celebration of the special gifts that each child offers, they're teaching the importance of sensitivity, tolerance, and appreciation toward others.
I like the fact that there are children from everywhere here. I think our kids are growing up in that oft-quoted global society, but it's a fact of life. And that when children interact with children from other cultures and other religions, other languages, they can only grow themselves.
I like the fact that it's a center-based school in that we have regular ed students, the regular base school, plus we have ESL, we have GT, we have hearing impaired, we have preschool handicapped. It's nice for regular, normal children to experience children who don't have all the things that they have going for them.
Anytime that you have students in a school where there are other students with special needs, you see a natural development of sensitivity, patience, understanding, and sort of the building of friendship that really continues all their life.